Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into social media? Let's do it. We're cracking open the measurement and analytics chapter today from our guide on social media diversification. It's all about figuring out what really works on social media, like a cheat sheet for success, right? Exactly. It's about going beyond just the surface stuff. Like how many followers you have. So you're saying it's not all about having tons of followers. Well, big following is nice, but it's only the first step. The real question is, are those followers actually engaged? Are they doing the things you want them to do? So how do we even know if our social media is working? Where do we start? That's where those KPIs come in. Key performance indicators. They're like the vital signs for your social media. KPIs, okay, yeah. But there are so many things to track. Which ones are the most important? You're right, there are a ton, but you gotta prioritize the ones that really matter for your goals. Let's start with engagement rate. That tells you how much people are interacting with your stuff. Are they liking, sharing, commenting? So it's not just about talking at people. It's about getting them involved. Exactly. And the more engaged people are, the more likely they are to share your content with others. They can become like loyal fans. Got it. Engagement rate is important. What else should we be looking at? Reach and impressions are big ones too. Reach is like casting a wide net, getting your message in front of as many people as possible. And impressions, that's how many times your content is actually seen. So reach is like planting seeds, and impressions are like watering them. Perfect analogy. But at the end of the day, we want our social media efforts to lead to real results, not just likes and shares. Absolutely. We want followers to become customers or sign up for our email list, whatever action we're going for. Right, and that's where conversion rate comes in. It measures how well your social media turns into the desired actions. Okay, so I've got engagement rate, reach and impressions, and conversion rate. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty solid starting point. But how do we actually keep track of all this stuff? Are we talking spreadsheets and calculators? No way. We have awesome tools these days, makes it super easy. Okay, I'm ready. Expilidines. What are these secret weapons? Google Analytics is a total game changer. It's like a detective for your website, tells you how people are finding your site from social media and what they do once they're there. Google Analytics sounds pretty intense, though. It can be a little intimidating at first, yeah? But it's super powerful once you get the hang of it. And you can even create custom dashboards to track the specific social media stuff that matters most to you. Because Google Analytics helps us understand what's happening on our website. But what about managing our actual social media accounts? For that, we've got platforms like Hootsuite, Sprout Social, and Buffer. They're like your social media command centers. You can schedule posts, track mentions, and see how people are engaging all in one place. Those sound like lifesavers, especially if you're juggling a bunch of different accounts. Yeah, are there tools that go even deeper than that, like for analyzing content or monitoring your brand? You bet. There are tons of specialized tools out there. Like BuzzSumo, it's amazing for finding out what content is trending in your niche. Helps you create stuff that people actually want to read and share. Ooh, like a crystal ball for content. Exactly. And if you want to keep an eye on what people are saying about your brand, Brand24 is awesome. It tracks mentions of your brand all over the internet. Wow, sounds like there's a tool for everything these days. But with so much data and so many tools, how do we make sure we're not just drowning in information? How do we use it all to actually make our social media better? You hit on a key point. That's where A/B testing comes in. It's like running little experiments to see what works best. A/B testing, so like a science lab for social media. Exactly. You can test different headlines, images, calls to action, and then the data tells you what actually works. That's amazing. It takes the guesswork out of it. So we're gathering all this data, running our experiments, but then what? How do we actually use it all to improve our strategy? That's where reporting comes in. We got to turn all that raw data into something we can understand and use. So it's about making the data meaningful. Yep. But good report is clear, concise, and tells a story. It uses visuals like graphs and charts to bring the data to life. I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed by all this. How do we make sure we're not just getting lost in the data? Don't worry, it's a common feeling. The key is to focus on the KPIs that matter most to you. Don't try to track everything at once. Start small and build from there. So it's about being strategic and setting priorities. You got it. The goal isn't to just collect a bunch of data. It's about making smart decisions and getting results. This has been incredibly insightful. I'm feeling so much more informed about how to actually measure success on social media. Glad to hear it. It's all about using the right tools and strategies, and remembering that data can be your best friend. Let's talk about some of the traps people fall into. When it comes to measuring their social media, it's like Having all the right tools, but not knowing how to use them. I can see how that could happen. What are some of the biggest mistakes people make? Well, one is getting obsessed with those vanity metrics we talked about earlier, like follower count. Right. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers game. Yeah, you can lose sight of what really matters: engagement, conversions, getting those business results. It's all about quality over quantity, right? Absolutely. Another common mistake is not having clear goals before you even start measuring anything. Makes sense. You wouldn't start driving without knowing where you're going. Exactly. And then people sometimes collect tons of data, but they don't actually do anything with it. It's like having a treasure chest, but never opening it. Right. Measurement without action is pointless. You gotta analyze the data, figure out what it means, and then use that to improve your strategy. It's a constant cycle. Yeah. Measure, analyze, adjust. You got it. It's all about being data-driven and using those insights to make your social media better and better. I feel like this deep dive has been so valuable. I have a much better understanding now of how to measure success on social media. And awesome. Now it's time to put all this knowledge into action. Time to get to work. Before we move on, let's do a quick recap for everyone listening. Sounds good. So the first takeaway, remember, measurement is not about vanity metrics. It's about making smart decisions to reach your goal. And we talk about picking the right KPIs to track to make sure we're on the right path. And don't forget all those amazing tools we have: Google Analytics, Hootsuite, Sprout Social, and A/B testing, running those little experiments to see what works best. And of course, reporting. That's how we turn all that data into something we can actually use. I'm so excited to start putting all this into practice. Now, before we wrap up, I have a question for you and all I listen in. Oh, I love a good question. Let's hear it. Now that you know how to measure your social media success, what's one KPI you're going to start tracking today? Good question. I think I'm going to focus on conversion rate. I really want to see how well my social media is actually turning into leads and sales. Excellent choice. Conversion rate is all about seeing that return on your investment, making sure your efforts are paying off. I'm ready to dive in. And for those of you who are excited to see what the future holds for social media, we got some exciting stuff coming up. In our next chapter, we'll be exploring the world of future trends in social media diversification. It's going to be a wild ride. Get ready for a sneak peek into the future of social media. You won't want to miss it. This has been so helpful. I feel like I'm already thinking about my social media in a whole new way. That's awesome. It's amazing what a little bit of knowledge can do. Right. But before we wrap up and move on to the future of social media, do you have any last tips for our listeners? For people who are ready to dive into all this measurement stuff, where should they start? I'd say start with a simple audit. Just take a look at your social media accounts, see what's working, what's not, like taking inventory. Right, exactly. Once you know where you stand, you can start setting some SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I love SMART goals. It's such a good way to stay on track. It really is. And don't be afraid to try new things. Experiment a little. See what your audience responds to. Different types of content, posting times, engagement strategy. It's like social media alchemy, right? Using data to turn our strategy into gold. Love that. Social media is always changing, so you gotta be ready to adapt. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Consistency is key, right? For sure. And most importantly, have fun. Social media should be enjoyable for you and your audience. Let your passion shine through. That's a great reminder. It's easy to get so focused on the numbers that we forget to actually connect with people. So true. At the end of the day, social media is all about relationships, sharing stories, building community. This has been such an incredible deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about actually using data to make a difference. And so glad. Remember, social media has the power to connect, engage, and inspire. And with the right tools and a little know-how, we can unlock that power. So go out there and conquer the world of social media, everyone. And don't forget to join us next time when we'll be exploring those future trends in social media diversification. It's going to be a fascinating look into what's coming next. And for those of you who are curious about what the future holds for social media, Lee has some exciting stuff coming out. In our next chapter, we're diving into the world of future trends in social media diversification. It's going to be fascinating. We'll be exploring all the latest trends and innovations, so stay tuned for that. Until then, happy measuring,